and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Keys to the Kingdom Live. I'm the Keymaker, and today we are joined by my good friend from Texas, Victor. He is a highly experimental gentleman. He will join us today, and we're gonna talk about all kinds of things. Probably diet, picking up girls, more weird shit. God knows. God only knows. Mr. Victor.
I am just burning with envy right now about your setup.
Dude, I just had to plug everything in right now. Sorry I made you wait, but I have extension cords for lights. I have a keyboard and mouse connected to my phone. You can see it right here. What else? I have a big puffy chair.
I didn't realize I was getting on call with a professional.
No, I've been thinking about it for a long time, but this is actually the first time that I'm using it live, so I hope you can hear me. Oh, and then I have the mic. Is this plugged in? Can you hear scratching?
I hear a little bit of ASMR coming through, yes I do.
Okay, because this one's also plugged in, but that's not the right one to use.
Either way, things are all systems go.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Keys to the Kingdom. I'm the Keymaker.
Very impressed. Your wardrobe is pretty sweet too.
Oh, dude, so I don't know if you know this, but I'm a chauffeur now, so I was driving my client, who must not be named. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
okay.
So
maybe it's someone we know, but that's okay. You don't have to say his name out loud.
we have something else in common. You drive as well.
Yeah, well, not so much anymore. I let go of that job for I don't want to say for good, because I've had to pick it up on a couple occasions just because money was tight, and I was like, hey, maybe I can make a spare bit of money. It's one of those tools in the toolkit, so to speak.
I like that. So what's your main gig right now? What you up to?
Right now, I'm back to the 9 to 5 grind, but not so much hours. So I go in at 7 and I get out at 3:30. Before, when I first started in there for about maybe 2 months, we were working 7 to 5. And so busted my ass for most of the day. And now we just switched hours back to getting out at 3:30, which is pretty nice. I get to go to the gym in the afternoon.
Can you reveal what it is, or is it a secret?
The job that I do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I make LED lighting fixtures. So you remember those rectangle lights you would see in the ceilings at school? And also in the gymnasiums or gyms. The lights that kind of hang from the ceiling of the gym. Yeah, they're going away with fluorescent lighting now, and they're just putting in LEDs into everything, because you don't have to go up there every 3 to 6 months, however long it is, to go up there and change a fucking light bulb. It's just things. I
had a friend who realized that there was this a program from the government where, or whoever it is, like ComEd, they would pay for you to replace the LEDs. You know anything about that?
Replace the LEDs as far as get rid of them?
No, sorry. So replace your conventional lights for LEDs to make it, green.
I'm not surprised. That's a thing. And who knows, maybe I really wouldn't know the underlying reason for that, but I don't know anything of that sort. We still make some fluorescent lights, but that's about maybe 5 or 10% of the products we push. Everything else is just LED. Really high-powered stuff, made to last a very long time, and very durable and modern-looking, so to speak.
Dude, there's an unexplored value in the 9 to 5. I'll let you in on a little secret. I actually, when I was happiest in my life, was when I was working at a restaurant, a food place, just in the kitchen, just cooking at a little mom and pop's pizza place. And it's one of those things where you go in at the time that you're supposed to be there, and you just do your thing. And as soon as you clock out, you can forget about it for the rest of the day. And the value of that, I think, oftentimes is not recognized because you have, the rest of your afternoon to do whatever you want to do. If you want to, have fun, if you want to rest, or if you want to build your own business, having that peace of mind, that knowing that you can be away from your job and that, you're not going to be called in or required until, your next shift. There's a beautiful, peace and space in that you can utilize really well. Okay, so you never came to visit in Chicago. We had the big Chicago house with the RSD guys that I was kind of creating and hosting.
Can I just add on to your nine to five thing?
What was that?
Real quick.
Yeah,
Can I
yeah.
just add on to your 9 to 5 thing?
Yeah.
So most 9 to 5 jobs that I found are highly undesirable, right? And so you have to coerce yourself and basically gaslight yourself to say, man, I got to show up to this place that I know I'm really not going to like.
Yeah.
And because you got that mindset of just like, I'm going to hate the next few hours and be involved in this shit.
Yeah.
But it's that pendulum swing where you're on one side of the spectrum.
Contrast.
And then at the end of it, it swings the opposite way at the end of the day, man. I really do agree with that. I kind of love it at this point. But I do find joy in doing the things that I don't want to do now, because it's not so much about the job that itself that I'm doing, but it's how I'm managing myself, my emotional state, my mood, and making sure that I'm always being true to myself. And if that goes well for me, it doesn't matter what kind of fucking job I do. But go on about the house you're living at.
That is interesting. It's like a meta game where you know that, the content of what you're doing is going to be shit, but there's the meta game or the context of like, well, the zen of watching the dishes, right? Like I'm going to be, I'm going to slog through it and take deep breaths and be calm, or, manage my state and make it into a little mini game. Like, oh, how happy can I be even though I have this menial task, right?
Yeah, basically.
So I wasn't actually changing the subject. I was just continuing on the Chicago house. Basically, when I lived there, we had I had that cooking job, and so I would, first of all, I had this crazy commute, like an hour or longer than an hour, just driving to work, which I love driving, and I'm like so excited about it. And so I would like play music or listen to a podcast, enjoy it. It was kind of a waste of time and expensive, but it added to the kind of on ramp and off ramp of like doing my thing and then just being away for the rest of the day. So it had like a good brackets of like, beginning of the day, end of the day. I know that it's going to be my commute, and it allowed me to kind of shift into a different mode. And so that was good. But then first of all, I had this crazy bedroom, which was like a little blanket fort. And so I had a little blanket fort with the TV inside the fort and speakers and a heater. And I had Christmas lights, and it was like this whimsical, just the craziest shit you've ever seen. And all I did was, on the way back from work, I would stop at the store and get ice cream. And so I would just like watch cartoons and eat ice cream and just goof off for the rest of the day and just like date. So it was like my ideal life, and girls would love the blanket fort, dude. It's like the greatest.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn off one of the lights, and I'm going to show you, like, you can probably see the red on my face.
Yeah.
Just from the light that I have in front of me because of this setup here.
Okay.
But it's essentially a red light. It might have been here whenever you showed up to visit, but I'll just show you what my room looks like with just the red luminescence.
So you're doing red light therapy, huh?
So no, it's not exactly high UVB, like that whole beneficial spectrum of light. It's just, it's red. It's like, So this girl used to live with me, and it would be whenever we would get it on, it would
Oh,
be
here we go.
turn on the sex light.
Great, that's perfect.
So it's kind of like red light district. It sets the mood.
Yeah.
It flips the switch, and it's like, okay, cool, it's sexy time. So I kind of like that aspect. I'm going to turn it off now because I might just start getting turned on, but I don't want to do that.
So there are actually benefits to just red light. It doesn't have to be special, just like a red LED.
Yeah. So it minimizes the blue
Yeah.
light, but I also have these on top of that.
Oh shit.
So I'm like this is like wearing two condoms at the same time. Just going on.
So you're really into the whole bulletproof stuff. Did I ever tell you that I was gonna, my big plan was to become a bulletproof coach, a bulletproof certified coach. I think I'm gonna revisit that plan because I think it's a good course to take. It's like $5,000, but it's a good certification to have where, there's a few ways that you can get like credibility indicators, but if you have like if somebody else puts you on, like if you're invited to like give a guest talk at somebody else that already has an audience, you can use something like that, or you can do testimonials, right? Like if you help, let's say, 15, 20 of your family and friends, you can then use those as testimonials and like build your own audience. But also if you have a certification, you can use it for that as well. And it's actually a really good course. If you just look for like Bulletproof Certified Coach, they changed the name now because, they've left Bulletproof. So now it's called Human Potential Coach, I think, or Human Upgrade Coach, something like that.
Like Upgraded Labs or something like that.
Yeah. So he actually partnered with another human potential coach that already existed and co-branded with him. But what's interesting is that you can, if you go on their page and you click like, see more information or whatever, it actually shows you a PDF with the entire curriculum that they teach. So you see like the headlines or the titles of everything that they are going to teach you. And it's just like, it's pretty sweet.
Pretty intense, man. I'm a fanboy.
Yeah.
I was gonna share one supplement that helped me in the past few days because I drank some tequila the other night and I knew it was just gonna fuck with me. So I got some of this on the marketplace.
Charcoal.
It helps you process out the alcohol a little bit better, but I know it's still got a little.
I have it right here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up. Hold on.
Yeah. You have coconut charcoal too?
Sorry, I can't hear you when I take this off, but...
Okay. You get the coconut charcoal too? Dude, goddamn.
Look at that pimpin'. Look at that pimpin'.
Let's screenshot at somebody.
Oh shit, that's funny. Hey, take a screenshot. Post it.
Yeah. Someone screenshot and tag us.
That's good. Nice. Yeah, dude, it's like, I feel like everything that I am investigating, somehow you're also into it. I always thought that was very, very interesting when we met, and then like, oh, who's this guy? He's like my brother from another mother.
Yeah, I was expecting to call you. You ever watch the food porn channel, Binging with Babish?
Oh, of course.
Your head is similarly shaped like him, but like we're all about food. We're all about like optimizing human nutrition and human performance. I'm sure you've done like some alpha brain shit, some shroom tech.
I've done alpha brain, yeah.
So it's like it's we're trying to reach our highest potential, right? And some people acquire that through grinding and like learning different skills. But I find that whenever my body is balanced, I'm not very inflamed. I'm very well rested, and all the gears are turning in my head correctly, and I'm not thinking about other shit. I'm very in tune, and I'm making sure that I'm getting a workout in, getting some sauna time, getting in an Epsom salt bath, and just like absorbing magnesium all the fucking time. It's like that's just the best way to be a conductor of energy and just be able to like explode and move forward.
Dude, have you
Um,
ever done this? What I'm doing now is that I take a little pinch of Epsom salts and I put it in my drink. Like if I'm having a juicy drink or a lemonade,
okay, it
I
adds
think,
a little bit of saltiness to it.
yeah. So it has that little salty, and the magnesium is like a very flat salt. It's not like a spiky salt,
Hmm.
like regular sea salt. I'll do a little bit of pinch of sea salt and then a bit of magnesium. And Epsom salt has this interesting thing in it called sulfates. So not to be confused with sulfites. Sulfate is part of the reason why they say that mineral water is so healthy. If you have like one of those Italian springs, spring water has a little bit of sulfate or sulfates in it, but a super small amount. And so if you do a pinch of Epsom salts, you're getting like a ton of sulfates and, the little bit of magnesium. I do another form of magnesium that gets absorbed super amazing before bed. And I've been doing lithium before bed, which is a trick that very few people know about. And my favorite one that I've been experimenting with is folate, so the methylated folate, because methylation, hint, I knew it. So methylation helps you with oxytocin and some of the, if you look at all the hormones that are activated when you have sex, like before and then after, basically all of the ones that are, I always confuse which one's sympathetic and which one's parasympathetic, but the ones that are like energizing are like building up at first and then, climax, and then all the ones that are relaxing get activated afterwards. So you can take.
I want to say the sympathetic are the ones that are like giving you that drive, and
Yeah,
the
I think so too.
parasympathetic reaction to it. I think.
Someone's going to correct us in the comments.
Let's hope so. I think the para. I think the para is the contrast to like para. It means to be without. I think so.
Got it.
The sympathetic means to be with the thing that's driving. The para is to remove the thing that's propelling you forward.
Okay, so it's like a hunting or seeking, aggressive kind of impulse, and then being without that is exactly the etymology. All right. So
I should get back on that. What is it helping you do?
So all of a lot of the hormones that are activated, let's say post orgasm, like oxytocin, some of the not so good ones like prolactin as well. All of those are dependent on methylation. So if you want to relax, there's some of the B vitamins that are sympathetic and some are parasympathetic. Like I think B12 is sympathetic and like B6 is parasympathetic and so on. So if you take them all together, it's not going to make a difference. But if you take the methylated folate before bed, you'll notice it. Like for onset sleep, so for falling asleep, it's incredible because you go into that like afterglow type of feeling, and then you just like drift off. However, I have noticed that it makes me wake up in the middle of the night. So I don't know if I'm doing too much, or if one of those things where you're like run out of it and then it wakes you up, or if it's some like liver thing. Because I know if you run out of whatever the thing that the liver uses to like process toxins in the middle of the night, it'll wake you up. A lot of people who drink before bed get that. They like will wake up in the middle of the night because the liver runs out of whatever they think it is. Glutathione, I guess.
I've heard that sometimes too that whenever you're sleeping, that something is released in your body. It's not like any natural hormone or something like that, but it might be like a toxin based on what you're consuming that would actually trigger like an adrenaline and cortisol response because your body's responding to it.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's like a reaction to your immune system. Dude, that shit is so sensitive. How much are you sleeping these days? Because I think you'd be surprised on how much sleep I'm getting these days and how high my performance is.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
my sleep journey has been that I did the pitch black room at one point, and that's when I realized like how much you can change your sleep and your quality of sleep. because it was insane. I was doing biphasic actually, when you wake up in the middle of the night and then go back to sleep.
Okay.
Have you heard of this?
I have. I've heard that there was a strategy to raise your testosterone a little bit if you wake up and eat like 4 or 5 boiled eggs and then go back to sleep.
So
It's a
they did
shit.
some of the original experiments where all of the where it was popularized during the pitch black room. What they discovered, they had these people in, I don't remember what it was. It was like in a room where you don't, or it was in pitch black or whatever. But they discovered that naturally, if there's no light, you'll naturally wake up. Like you'll do 2 like sleep periods. So you'll go to sleep and then you'll wake up like around 2 a.m. or something like this. And then in our ancestral past, you would like go pee or whatever, and then have sex, and then go back to sleep. And but naturally you will wake up is what I'm the point of the story. And so I noticed that it actually happens.
I've heard of that too, that some people do that in Mexico, where there's some tribe, maybe from what I heard from like one of my old supervisors, they said that they sleep for 4 hours, wake up for 2 or 3 hours, do whatever. Like, it's not much, right? It's the middle of the fucking night, but like there's some alertness that goes on when you wake up in the middle of the night and you kind of just like zoned in, and then I don't know. I remember doing that and everything feeling heightened. Not that I practice regularly, but I can imagine like it being a good time for people just like throwing it down and having some sex.
Yeah. So
waking up and doing all your regular shit.
It's definitely an altered state. I don't know if you're like super sharp or if you're like not fully wake up or something, but it definitely feels different. And then if you dream, like it gives you very, very vivid dreams. Also, if you do the biphasic, they say that if you wake up in the middle of a dream or in the middle of the night and then go back to sleep and then do it again, it's like way better for like dream recall, remembering your dreams, and for like dreaming more vividly. And also if you're trying to lucid dream, that's like a super clutch. So, your sleep is better, your dreaming is better, which is also important for learning and, for processing your day and so on. And you get better rest. So that was the first thing I tried, doing the super pitch black room. And now I can't do it because I have big windows here. So I've been doing just a sleep mask. So right now I'm not sleeping like as amazing as I once was, but my onset sleep is like super fast. Like I can fall asleep in like less than 10 minutes. And
my onset sleep sucks so hard.
Oh, dude. I battled with that for a long time. I was, like way before, when I wasn't like eating healthy or anything like that, I would just not be able to fall asleep for like hours and hours, and it was painful, dude. But now it's crazy. It's like I just fall asleep so fast, and I'm taking the magnesium and lithium and all that stuff, so that
just
helps a lot.
Super stacking yourself right before you go to bed.
Doing what?
It's super stacking yourself and medicating yourself so that you like before bed.
Well, so when you start taking magnesium, you have a huge effect, but if you keep taking it to the point where you're not deficient anymore, so you'll actually take it to the point where you're not deficient anymore. So you'll replenish your magnesium, and then it kind of stops working. As you'll still feel it, but it's like very subtle. So it's not like I'm taking these crazy meds or anything. The lithium that I take is just lithium orotate, which is a very common supplement. Super low dose lithium. And when I take the folate, I don't take a full pill. I just take a little bit of it.
Just to break it off a little bit with your teeth.
Yeah, well, the one that I have, I just open the pill and do a little bit of the powder.
Gotcha. Yeah, so let's see. My day, on a regular work day, working Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I would get up 5:45, meditate for 20 minutes. I started that this week because I fell off last week. And I'd be at work by 7. And then this week also, I started waking up with filtered water with no lemon juice, but with apple cider vinegar and just salt. I just hear that's good for like gut motility. It like starts producing energy, and of course, the salt just helps you out in your dehydration while you're sleeping. But like my day goes on, I go to work, and if I go to the gym, I go to the gym right after work. I have all my food, so on and so forth. And I have about the bulletproof coffees that I'm drinking right now. They're the cold brew ones, and so it's about 200 milligrams of caffeine. So I've been having two of those a day for the longest time now, where I've heard of people just like needing to go on a break if they're doing over 300. But I've been sustaining this for maybe the better part of 3 or 4 months.
Dude, you want to know how much I'm doing?
You're
Yes.
on one right now. You're on one right now. That's like 150 for half of that.
This is extra. This is when I drink coffee. When I drink coffee, I don't even count that as like my caffeine. I just do caffeine pills.
Okay.
So, guess how much I take a day? One pill is 200, so it's the same as one coffee if you actually think it's 200 in a can.
I think you're doing 600.
Okay.
How much are you doing?
I'm doing 12 to 1500 a day. I've been doing it for a long time.
No, don't do that.
Yeah,
So-
I try to take breaks.
1.5 grams.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I mean, whatever. It's I know I can. I've actually gone cold turkey a couple times, and it's not as bad. And it resets your
Sensitivity.
yeah. So I know I can
Well-
quit anytime I want.
Right. Right. Are you doing any heavy working out, heavy lifting?
Well, it's not really. Sometimes it depends on what we're doing because I'm doing that's not my main gig, the driving. I'm doing construction. So if we gotta unload a truck full of like bags of concrete, like that's a huge workout, right? But it's not every day.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe once a month. And I don't work out on my own or anything like that. I just like do whatever it is that we have to do that day. So
Yeah, I know if I have too much caffeine on a day, like today I overdid it. I'm up to like 700 because I had those two cold brews and then I had two like regular classic bulletproof classic coffee with the MCT oil and the butter.
yeah.
So I'm up to 700 right now, but I feel okay. I feel like I'm going to be able to fall asleep soon. But I found that the more caffeine that I drink and the harder I worked out, the worse I recovered, especially if I wasn't eating enough fat. Right now, I'm eating up to 2 pounds of red meat a day. That's 80-20.
Nice.
And so it's at least 80 grams of fat and 80 grams of protein per pound
Okay.
of the beef.
Nice.
And so like that's a super amount of calories. And I'm only able to like go through to be able to like sustain this because I'm eating so much fat. And
So do you make sure to eat all the fat? Like if there's like juice on the meat, do you like drink it and
not so much. If whatever spills in the pan, I'll leave it spill in the pan just so I don't go over. So if I'm guesstimating, it's between 10 and 15 grams of fat
Okay.
per serving, a 4-ounce serving. So that'll be like maybe 40 at the minimum.
But you're not doing full carnivore, right? That's just your meat?
Yeah, that's just my meat consumption.
Okay.
I add rice, I add blueberries,
Okay.
and I add some raw honey. And
Oh, wow.
raw honey, shit, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like they say, don't put it into tea while it's hot because it'll actually kill
It'll
it.
cook,
You just
yeah.
you eat it off with a spoon. And I had that with my dinner along with some blueberries. And I didn't do if I were to do complex carbs or something like that, like
Yeah.
potatoes or rice, it's on a day that I work out so that when I needed to recover after like tearing down some shit. But
Yeah.
whereas today I didn't work out and I just had some simple sugars like the blueberries and the honey.
So there's something they call the perfect health diet, which is based on the Hawaiian diet. Is basically paleo plus white rice.
Mm.
So that's basically what you're doing if you're doing. Well, I guess it would be primal if you're doing like honey. and
Hmm.
berries. So
Yeah.
yeah. So what's
Super.
do you? Okay, I was going to ask you actually. I was thinking about this. Do you have one of those scales that measures your body fat percentage and muscle mass and all that stuff?
No, I've been tracking it the whole time. I do look at like my body every day in an obsessive compulsive way because if you don't look at it every day, you can't really tell. And when I've been really consistent, I can see the differences by
Yeah,
not changing food much,
yeah,
and then be able to notice it in the mirror.
yeah.
And so I do that because I'm so obsessed with it because I want to fucking succeed, and I'm not crazy because I do it. And so there's some people who are like, "Oh, you shouldn't drive yourself crazy
Yeah.
by weighing yourself every day and doing this shit." Like, no, motherfucker, I give a shit about this shit. That's why I fucking measure it.
Well, it depends on where you're at. I think some people, if you're like far, right of center where you don't care about your body, then obviously you got to look at it more. But if you're like obsessed already and then you're looking at it even more, that's the advice that they give people of like, okay, stop looking in the mirror, just like relax, chill, go back to center. But like somebody like us, like we're way over here. And so for us, it's actually beneficial to like look at it more. The first time that I did slow carb, I realized that like just looking in the mirror is the best way to measure progress, because if you're looking at the scale, you're going to gain a lot of muscle mass when you start doing like a high protein diet, or anything where you will reset your insulin sensitivity. Your muscle mass will go way up. And then if you're doing low carb, the amount of water in your body also goes way down. And so you're going to start like swinging in weight wildly, where, obviously your body fat percentage is going to start going down kind of slowly. And so if you're just looking at the scale, it's like a terrible way to measure it. But if you look in the mirror, you'll see, okay, I look better, or I look more muscular or whatever. And that's the best way of tracking it. And I got to the point where I could like see the change in my body of eating like one cheat meal. And it's like, oh, I see it. Like, it's not good. And then if I was like really strict for a whole week, I'd be like, okay, like I see the progress.
Hmm. You know what really pisses me off about getting a body scan?
Yeah.
Because I would go to my gym, 24-hour fitness, and I'd be like, "Hey, can I get my body fat percentage measured?" And they're like, "Yeah, cool." They used to do it with like calipers back in the day. They measure
Yep.
your back fat and your love
Yep.
handle and all this other shit. And I'd always end up in the same body fat percentage between like always above 20 and maybe at the highest point 23%. And then they gave me the last few times I went to go get it measured, they gave me this little device where you hold it with your hands
Hmm.
and then put a setting on it, and then it goes through. You hold it above your heart, and then it
Yep.
gives you this fucking readout. But one time while I started training, I was all like, let me get my body fat percentage measured, and then 4 weeks later, I'll be able to tell whenever this shit happens.
Yeah.
And so like, I was going low carb, and so I'm like, I should be losing some weight, except well I did, but whenever I measured myself on that thing that I grabbed like this,
Hmm.
it came out at the same body fat percentage. I'm like, that's fucking crazy. It's like,
Mm.
if I'm really gonna get the results or the accuracy that I want, I'm gonna have to go and pay like $150 for like 2 tests. And I'm
Yeah.
just like, I don't need to know that bad.
So was that one measure from one method, and then the next measure was from a different method, or was it from the same method both times?
When I've been measured the both ways, but when I really looked into the thing, I did the device thing for
Yeah.
at least 3 or 4 times,
Okay.
and I'm like, it's still coming out at the same body fat percentage. I'm just
Hmm.
like, why fucking bother? Like, I can really
So
tell.
from what I know, doing the calipers is one of the most accurate methods outside of like a DEXA scan. And if you are doing the electrical thingy, it's accurate to itself so long as you do it under the same conditions, which means like how much water you drank that day, and also like the time of day and the day of the week. So if you're doing the thing that you grab, I would recommend doing it on the same day of the week. And then the way of like going back to baseline that I heard of is that you wake, obviously it's kind of hard if you're going to the gym, but if you have it at home, even if it's one of those scales that has the thingies that you step on, the electrical contacts.
You have one of those?
No, so I measure it at the gym also, but it's the same thing. What you do is that you wake up, you go to the bathroom, and then you drink a glass of water. And so if you do that, you're going to be the same level of hydration every time that you measure it. And then you only measure it once a week on the same day of the week. Because
you're going to be using the same control each time that you go. Because it can fluctuate. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But also if you're doing a diet and then you change it on the weekend, you have a weekly cycle that you go up and down on the week. And then you can still see the trend, but that's why you measure on the same day of the week.
With the whole like changing of the diet and eating a variety of shit, I don't find that I need a variety of shit. And from the slow carb method, Tim Ferriss says that the best way to get results is eat the same thing, goddamn every fucking day. He eats his mental for breakfast and whatever cut of steak and like.
Well, that's why I do weekends, is because on the week, let's say I'm working, I just want to eat the same thing just for fuel. Same thing every day. And then if I want some variety, I'll do it on cheat day or on the weekend, or, if I'm doing date night like 2 or 3 times a week, like let's say twice a week on a date, like I don't want to eat the same shit that I eat. I want to eat whatever it's fun, right? So that was my big, what was that?
For pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. So that was my big breakthrough this year, is that I got a slow cooker. Well, it's a pressure cooker, so like an Instapot. And I got the fancy Ninja one that has like 4 different, like a 4-in-1 Ninja. And so I use it for my meal prep for the whole week. So I just throw everything in there. It's, I got the like XL, super big, huge one. And so I can make enough food for a whole week in like one go. So I'll throw like, 4 or 5 pounds of meat, 4 or 5 cans of beans, and whatever veggie, and then, whatever spices I want to add, or maybe a can of tomatoes to make it into a chili. And then I'll just eat chili for like every meal for the entire week. And so I don't measure anything. I don't have to worry about anything. I'm just like eating, there's always food available. So I'm never like hungry or missing meals or anything like that. That's going to make my blood sugar go up and down. Yeah.
It's one less stressor on your day too, because if you wake up going into the next day not knowing what you're going to eat, that's like mental energy that you're sacrificing in order to be like, I don't know what to figure out for food. Like, do I got to go here? Do I got to go there? It's like 1,000 different thoughts to complete one thing. But if you think about it, like 2 or 3 things on the day before, it's just so much less.
And then you got to go to the store and figure out how you're going to get there and what you're going to get and how much it's going to cost. It's like so many decisions. Just like, and then not only that, but I'm doing the food deliveries, the grocery delivery. So I have a link in my bio if you want to get like $80 off of grocery deliveries. Link in the bio. But yeah, it's this box, and you just get a box every week, and you can like click the stuff that you want, and they'll just ship it to your house. And so I get a bunch of cans of beans and grass-fed beef.
That's perfect, man. Yeah.
Easy.
I found so I was buying a pound of beef for $5.99. It says pasture raised, and I'm just like, well, I should be getting grass fed.
Yeah.
But I was getting the grass fed, the 85%, whatever, 85-15, like percentage of the fat.
Yeah.
And then I found this 80-20.
Yeah.
That when I cook
it's actually cheaper.
It's actually cheaper, which is fine. It has more fat in it.
Yeah.
But it smells like fucking butter when I cook it, dude.
Oh, dude, that's the good stuff.
Sweet, sinewy fucking tallow. Like the pasture raised smells a lot better than the grass fed stuff that they were selling me. And I'm all like, you know what? Fuck that shit. I'm just gonna go for the cheaper shit because it's like it just tastes so much better for some reason. And
really? Okay.
I've noticed such a big impact from like switching to this 80-20 stuff because it's a little bit more fat. And I don't have to get it from anywhere else. So I've been more vigilant, more aggressive, ever since I've like started eating upwards of like 1.5 to 2 pounds of red meat a day. And on days that I work out, do you remember in the 4 Hour Body, the testosterone boosting shake that
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss had?
Dude, I
So
was
it's
just thinking about it today.
yeah, so it's the chia seeds, almond butter, and he wants you to put like raw milk and stuff. I don't go all that out, but it's supposed to be my post-workout shake. And
Oh, I
so
don't remember the chia seeds.
so he has the chia seeds. Those are I don't know, I don't remember if it's chia or flax, but like the Mayans
Okay.
used to use to boost fertility. And
Okay,
so
is it
like
amaranth?
what?
Amaranth? Amaranth is the one that the Aztecs used to use.
Okay. Yeah. You know, my cousin mentioned that, but I haven't used it. She made it sound stupid and dull because she's a vegetarian.
Okay.
But
So,
the chia
okay,
seeds
go ahead, yeah. So you're doing it as a post-workout shake.
as a post-workout shake. I told my dad what it was today. I go, yeah, so my post-workout shake is a scoop of protein powder, you know, some frozen blueberries, some chia seeds, some almond butter, some water, some cinnamon, because cinnamon's super good for insulin sensitivity.
Okay.
And just to top it all off, 6 raw eggs, and I blend it in the shake. And it's fucking-
Fuck yeah.
and my dad's like, what the fuck? All this cholesterol, what the fuck is going to happen to you? I'm like, no, bro. It's fucking...
Yeah, yeah. Dude, the
some-
first time I did the Tim Ferriss testosterone shit, it wasn't good. I mean, it was good. It was really good, but it was like
But-
intense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was
yeah, yeah.
doing. I remember the basics are butter, almonds, Brazil nuts. What's the other one?
Vitamin
Oh,
D?
and cod liver oil. Cod liver oil. It's
Yeah.
like
So,
nitrous
you know,
for your fucking blood.
so I have a bottle of the cod liver oil in my fridge right now, and I had to cut it off maybe about 2 months ago. So what I was finding is that with more vitamin A, the more your body is able to absorb iron. And
Okay.
one day, and also what helps you absorb iron is vitamin C.
Yeah.
And so chilling at one day at home, drinking some bulletproof coffee, and I took some vitamin C, and I started getting nauseous. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I researched it, and it's like when you have high levels of iron in your blood, it can cause nausea and almost like induce vomiting. And so I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And then I found the high levels of vitamin A from the cod liver oil
Yeah.
was making me absorb more iron than I needed to. And it
Did you
was
get
actually,
tested?
No. This is all psychosomatic,
Yeah, it's
self-assessment.
conjecture because
Because as soon as I eliminated the cod liver oil, my
Yeah.
symptoms were going away. I could take vitamin C more readily, and it was actually hindering me in improving my testosterone. Whereas that when I removed it, my liver was more clear because there was less iron in my
Yeah.
blood. Because I remember also when I donated plasma once, that the lady told me, she measured my levels, and she said, you're on like the high end of iron. And at the time,
okay.
I was taking a lot of vitamin D and those cod liver oils and training, and I was just like, I'm fine. I'm just eating a lot of red meat. But you know what, too? I had just bought a cast iron skillet where I was
Oh,
cooking
shit,
all my
yeah.
meals. So the iron from the fucking skillet,
Yeah.
the extra iron absorption from the vitamin A, and just whatever else
From the
it's
vitamin
like-
C as well.
Yeah, so that was
Okay.
really fucking with me.
Yeah,
So-
that's something you gotta watch out for. Iron, if you have it high, it's not good. You gotta donate blood or something like that to get rid of some of it. If you donate like not plasma but like actual blood, you'll get rid of all iron. And then it's good to do it because if you could like continue to take, cycle it in and then donate it and continue to take more, not take it but like absorb it from like your food and vitamins and whatever else. I think that's better than not taking it. Or, especially if you're avoiding like vitamin A or something that's so good for so many other reasons. It's better if you just like continue to donate blood, and then that'll make your body more resilient when it's creating the new blood, and get like a hormetic response from that. And then it also allows you to keep taking, the rest of your vitamins and take your vitamin C every day and so on. I probably have, well, I actually don't know if I have it higher now. I think I wonder if I've measured it ever before. I don't think so, actually.
Yeah, so that's been the latest for me.
Dude,
Um, on a personal note, like I
yeah, I
know we
want to know.
love all this fucking like nutrition and shit like that. Um, but about the kind of content that you're consuming at this point on perhaps the male and female dynamic because of just the sort of things that I've been experiencing. Like there's been things pointing to kind of uncovering like what your pain is. What is like the thing that pains you to see the most in the world so that you can create the
Okay.
most change in what you want to go after. And so what I've been finding more is that, and even for my longest history, my longest past, is just that motherless children following the advice of Elliot Hulse and how families are necessary for this world to have healthy individuals that are in a nurturing home with a nurturing mother and a very prominent masculine role in their lives, and how much of an effect, a good effect that has on the community as a whole,
Hmm.
where I can see that a lot of the influences that are around me, especially because I work in a shop full of women
Really.
that act like men on a daily basis
Hmm. Hmm.
and removes the femininity from them because they have to act so tough. They have to get shit done instead of falling into that nurturing and caring role so that a child develops properly. And so this is just the kind of thing that's just been sticking out like a sore thumb for me right now.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. And I was just gonna ask you, like, if there's anything that's going on in the back of your mind where you're seeing like there's a problem out in the world that kind of brings a little bit of pain in your life, because I've found that even with I wouldn't say vast amount of pain, but like suffering is a consistent thing based on, readings from like the Buddhists and the Hindus and even like Judaism, where it's just like there's always going to be a thing that you're suffering for throughout your life. It's a given. You're
Struggle.
going to
Yeah.
suffer in this
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, what can you do to ease the suffering of the thing that you see in the world?
That is interesting. I'll tell you something that may be unrelated, but it's what I've been thinking about a lot lately, along the same level of like something that I see wrong with the world. I've been, trying to figure out. I mean, I guess my whole life I've been trying to figure out like what's the game or what is it, what's the meaning of life? I guess, like what's the thing that what are we here to do? Or what's the thing that what's important? Like, what's the most important? Like, what should be the goal? And, I listen to like Leo Gura, and he talks about, love, like love's the ultimate and the ultimate virtue, I guess, or value, the ultimate value. And then, there's all these other values like truth and so on. I've been listening to Jordan Peterson a lot, and he has, a kind of similar thing where I guess, maybe in a different order, but it's not really that one of the values is superior to another. I feel like there's like four or five supreme values that all coexist in like a healthy relationship to each other. Um,
Are you gonna list those out right now? Because I feel like I want to write those down.
well, if you listen to Peterson, he'll say it's, truth, love, beauty, bravery, I guess. If you listen to Leo Gura, he'll say it's, truth is like the ultimate one. But you got to think about it in a functional way. For example, I believe that love is like the motivation that will allow you to pursue, whatever your greatest value is. So, for example, if you have somebody whose greatest value is, random example, it could be money. um, you know, love to them would be the thing that motivates them to get more money, right? If somebody else, ultimate value is truth, same deal. Yeah, like you can say that love is like the fuel that they're going to be like, well, I love myself, I love my wife, I love my kids. For them and for, to honor the love that I have for myself, I have to pursue this highest value, which, could be truth or could be, whatever it is. So
Do
I've been
you
thinking
do
about
you
it.
do you synonymize love with sacrifice?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I don't know where I heard that, but I think it was Peterson who said that, right?
Yeah. It's the delay of getting the thing that you want because you have to sacrifice something to have that whatever ideal you have in mind.
I think that a good synonym for it would be investment. So it is a similar definition because if you the thing that's going to make you, let's say that you have a wife that you love, what's the thing that makes her different from just a random woman you see on the street? Well, it's how invested you are, right?
The amount of time that you put into it.
I mean, sure, it could be time, could be, emotional.
Whatever whatever sacrifice you put into it.
Sure. So yeah, I guess we'd say that's it. So my supreme value, based on like everything that I've been like trying to cobble together from listening to Leo and listening to Peterson and my whole journey that I've taken through RSD and whatever psychedelics I've done and so on. I think that really the thing that's the thing that you're supposed to pursue is creativity. And the reason for that is because that's the only thing that makes you you. So it's the only thing that makes you an individual. And it's also the only thing that makes you human in a way. Because if you're thinking about logic or achievement or anything else, really, if you think about it, that's something that a robot could do or that you could simulate or emulate
That's
with just logic.
it's a very physical manifestation.
Well, it's the problem is not that it is in a way, yes, but the point that I'm trying to make is that it's a cause and effect thing where you start from some initial conditions and then you could make a robot or a machine or a logic tree that would just make automated decisions one after the other. And if you just follow the logic, like let's say that you are, one of those more scientific minded people and you say, hey, you know what? Logic is the ultimate value. And so I'm just going to do whatever is the most logical. And so you
Follow
have
the
your
algorithm.
definition of, say what?
Follow the algorithm.
Exactly. So you have an algorithm and you know what it is. A goes to B goes to C. You have initial conditions and then you just follow it through and you're going to get the same result every time. So in a way of, you could interpret that as saying, well, I could have done that, or a machine could have done that, or any other human that's following the same logic could have done that. But if you think about creativity, that's something that, I don't know like what the magic secret ingredient of that is. Really, it's a combination of like inspiration with curating your thoughts.
And
And,
also the outcome is very variable because you could be doing something very creative and have it be like the most truest self-expression of yourself, but it could be interpreted differently by whoever is viewing it. Say it have it be
sure.
your partner or have it someone view a painting that you did, and
Yep.
it's very different internally to each person that it comes out to.
I
So,
was talking to a friend of mine about self-expression, and they were saying, do you see self-expression as the ultimate form of creativity? And I said, no. I think there's two sides of the coin. One is you could call it inspiration or self-expression. Basically, there's an aspect of randomness, but there's also an aspect of inspiration, meaning you get an idea and you don't really know where the idea came from. maybe you got it from beyond, maybe you got it from your subconscious, it just bubbled up, or it could be just random. We don't know where it comes from, right? So that's like inspiration. And then the second part is curating. So you can say, okay, this is a good idea, this is a bad idea, I'm going to discard it, or if it's good, I'm going to pursue it. And so it's the interaction between that kind of randomness or inspiration that we don't know where it comes from with like your particular idiosyncrasies in curating that. And, you give some more energy, or reject it. And then I think it's that dance that makes it, that makes true creativity and then, part of that is knowing what other people are going to like, because if you do a painting and nobody likes it, there's value to that, I guess. That would be like the self-expression half of the coin. But if you do something that's like, okay, that's like art and, people appreciate it and so on, that's what I would consider, like actual creativity, something that, and it doesn't have to be a painting, could be, a course or a YouTube channel or whatever. It's something that you're creating and adding to, the marketplace. That's going to give, value to society and all that stuff. I think that's the goal.
Yeah, one of the most important things that people value are their feelings, right? It's like, what was the last thing that you made a person feel?
Yep.
So
yep.
that's how they look at you. That's how they value you.
Yep.
And so I was doing this today at work because I was in a really good mood and I was fucking around a lot. And the more that I bought into whatever I had to say, the more positively it affected people, which I found was a trip in my own head. I was like, holy shit, I remember doing things like these and just being self-expressive and like caring so much about what I had to say that it actually transmitted into other people and whatever they having to enjoy themselves. But there's also some people that are just like, you already know what they like, and so you just keep going with the same rhythm, keep throwing.
Okay, so that's an important point, because in the way that I figured it out, this is the reason why love has to be, in a more technical sense, the fuel or the emotion, because you can say, well, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to measure something, and I'm just going to, measure a result. And so you have, say, your bank account, and you know that if your bank account goes up, you're doing good. If your bank account goes down, and it's kind of a simplistic goal. If you have another person that you love, or a family that you love, if you love yourself, maybe not. I don't think that's the ultimate form of love. I think it's, like a romantic love.
I think you're getting into the more of a self-love aspect too. Whereas, like, how much do you love yourself to let yourself say the things that you authentically feel? And
so
how free are you to express yourself?
Okay, there may be a difference in temperament between you and I, because for me, the ultimate form of love really is like a romantic love, where, you have that like amazing partner that you just want to do, whatever to, not even to get any kind of a validation from them, but just to give, And so if you have, let's say you have a kid, whatever's the most, an example that you'll, work for you. It could be your girlfriend, wife, or it could be your kid or something like that. It could be yourself, whatever. But if you have that love and that object of love that you want to just like give to, it puts you in a situation where, the vicissitudes of life, the ups and downs, are going to make it so that having a simplistic goal, such as having your bank account go up, or something that's simple and easily measurable, it's just not going to be sufficient, because there's always going to be some problem that emerges that you can't fix with that. And there's going to be another problem that's going to be different. And there's going to be another problem that's going to be different. And so the only one thing that is going to make it so that you can solve, continuously complicated problems is, on one side, having an investment, which is the love, and on the other side, having a tool, which is creativity. And so the thing that's going to force you to be creative and solve problems, even if it's outside of your area of expertise, has to be that,
Has to come from a place of love.
well, the love is the thing that kind of forces you to do it because you don't have a choice. So you're, on the one aspect, you're forced to do it. Does that make sense? Like, you don't want to lose your wife, or you don't want to betray your kid, or you leave your kid out on the street. So in a way, you are forced to do it. So is that throwing your hat over the fence, or is that having skin in the game?
Mm-hmm.
In the ultimate way.
It's the commitment to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like it's doing anything necessary to
Exactly.
get that that you want.
Love is the only thing technically that would make you do whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? And then creativity is the ultimate thing that's going to make you do, use whatever tool, or is the only tool that will work in any situation. Because you have to be creative to solve whatever it is that, let's say that you need to learn whatever, like a new job. Let's say that you want to learn a new job, which is, being a chef. So you're going to take a course on being a chef, but you need the meta skill, which is the problem solving, to be able to know that you have to learn a skill and how you're going to do it. And then that same skill of, let's call it problem solving, or you could call it industriousness or industry, which I think that's a limited definition of it. Creativity is the only skill that applies to, it's like a meta skill that you need to have to be able to solve any other problem that's more local. And so those are the two sides of the coin. You have the, like the emotional leverage, and then, an industriousness that would allow you to come up with a solution for any problem, and then, go learn that solution.
Right. So the emotion being the fuel that lights the rocket,
Yep.
and the rocket itself being the tool that's being used to puncture through the fucking atmosphere.
Yeah. So that's like my little spiel on like the meaning of life.
Yeah, dude. Like fucking all of life is basically like sexual energy. It's like drawing from those deep curves of like a certain emotion, and then like moving forward with that emotion, and then just going through with whatever task that you have in front of you, and that's fuel for your whatever you're trying to accomplish. What I've been, because of like this overly aggressive stuff that I've been feeling, and being more on top of my game and more honest and open and real with myself, is that I'm finding that things get on my nerves a lot more.
Mm.
And I found that I've always been a little bit more timid on that side.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more so in maybe the last 2 years, just because of just like some emotional shit. And I was like, oh, I can't believe I got angry there. And like I had some shame over just like, oh, I can't believe I lost my cool there, and like fucking got pissed off over this shit. And I'm just like, no, like.
Yeah, I wrestle with that a lot as well.
There's nothing wrong with being angry. Like I used to like beat myself up and like, no, you got to be happy and nice and good all the time.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Have you looked at the energy scale?
For
you
sure.
know what I'm talking about?
For sure. And so when I think about what happens whenever I do get angry, I think to myself, I'd rather be pissed off than be in a state of apathy or fear, because that means I'm not working on those lower levels. I'm actually up at a higher level, so that I can reach up to the point of pride or courage, or even get close to like love or bliss and joy.
Yeah. So have you ever looked at your Myers-Briggs personality type?
The last time I did it, I got the propagandist, which is an ENF, the ENFP.
Really? So you're extroverted?
I'm extroverted, but I'm extroverted, but I'm highly intuitive and psychic
Uh-huh. And that's an
because
FJ. Oh no, FP. Okay, interesting.
it might be ENFJ. But the only reason that I'm able to identify where people are coming from is because I've had more of a handle on my emotions
Yeah.
and I'm more aware of my emotional state. And so when I see people acting in an emotional state, I almost feel like Owen, where he can tell where everybody is on an emotional state,
Yeah,
but I
yeah.
can't read all of them. I can't read all of them right now. But like in a psychic way, I can be like, okay, this person's that way right now, this person's this way right now. And it's a very subtle thing, but I can pick up on that. But I'm very extroverted because the way that my energy moves outward in like an Elliot Hulse way, I'm able to move people when they don't want to be moved. And so I try to keep that very close to myself
Hmm.
and not and to not cause friction, but also only
Right.
learn to use it when it's necessary.
So the reason why I asked, have you ever done your Enneagram?
I've looked into it, but I haven't. Does it,
Have you ever?
is it
I don't
based
know
off
what
a
it is.
number system?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like nine numbers, and it tells you which number you are.
Okay. I might be a
Have you
two.
ever done your Big Five?
A long time ago, but I was very different then. Like I feel like where I'm at now is just way different from when I was when I first 8 years ago got
Yeah,
introduced to LSD
yeah.
and 2017 having a big breakdown or 2017 2018 having a
Really?
big
So you had like a big change? Did your personality change at one point, like at a specific time?
yeah, yeah, but I think because I had a panic attack and I think it had more to do with my health and nutrition at that certain point in time. And some stuff has never been the same. I just completely rewired myself somehow from
Wow,
going
really?
out so much and
Okay.
being chasing that fucking white dragon of,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
So the Myers-Briggs people have this thing they call the shadow function. And so what they believe is that when you're stressed out, there's like a different part of your personality that emerges. So for me, being assertive, that's my shadow function. So I'm actually like calm and passive in my everyday life. And then when I'm stressed out, like that more assertive part of me emerges. That is
You know what?
according
Same,
that
same.
is according to the Myers-Briggs, but in the Enneagram people, it's different. They say that you have a direction of growth and a direction of regression. So if you go on your direction of growth, you actually like continue to evolve through the different personality types. And so anytime that the Myers-Briggs is a more static um, paradigm where you're stressed out, you're going to act out, but then you kind of come back to baseline. And so you don't change or evolve. The Enneagram people believe that if you continue to go on that direction of growth, you'll actually like continuously evolve. So in my Enneagram, being more assertive is actually my direction of growth. So it's not just a thing that happens when I'm stressed out, but it's a direction. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And I know you're into astrology too. But so do you know what the midhaven is?
No.
So the midhaven is your 10th house, and whatever planet happens on your 10th house based on your rising sign is kind of the thing that you're supposed to do in your life.
Okay.
And and so my midhaven is in the house of Aries, the house of the warrior, the
Of course.
house of the leader, the
Yeah.
house of the inspirer, the house of the motivator. And so it's just like when I started this new job in a month, maybe less, the lead person that that I was under was like, "Man, you're really good at getting people to to get up and go and like move things forward and take charge. And I'm like, yeah, it's just, I don't know why. I'm just like, I like to be motivated and motivating and be a positive influence on those around me.
Mm-hmm.
And my supervisor comes up to me one day and is like, hey, do you want to maybe train for like the lead position?
Oh, shit. That's awesome.
And I'm all like, yeah, I mean, I just got here, but maybe in time I'll be there. It's just like, you know what? Just let me
you gotta go for it.
do my best where I am right now, and then we'll see what happens later.
Come on.
And then maybe the next week later, my manager rolls through, and he's like, hey, man, I've been seeing you're making kind of a big impact here.
Nice.
We're going to consider you for the fucking lead position.
Yeah, of course, dude.
Guess where I'm at right now.
The lead position.
You fucking right, man. I got a fucking raise last week.
What's your solar sign?
My sun sign?
Yeah.
So if you look into YouTube, you'll see that it's on the cusp of sensitivity, which is on the cusp of Aquarius and Pisces.
Oh, wow.
So Pisces, 1 degree. But what I hear from Pisces in the early stages from degrees 0 to 10 is that there's still major influences from the sign that came before that, which is Aquarius. And so I have these weird abstract thoughts that I have to link to emotionally in order to have them to come through and be understood. But also with the cusp of sensitivity is that I'm very intuitive and very psychic and very, probably a good word to say is codependent, because I'm always more concerned with how other people are feeling than how I'm feeling myself. I'm always trying to read other people than read myself.
Yeah,
and that's also like an extroverted trait where they're like more aware of what's going on around them rather than being consumed by what's going on inside them.
Oh, dude, that's such a big topic. So cusp signs are interesting. I think Spenny is a cusp sign as well.
Who?
Spenny.
Oh, okay.
I may be wrong about that.
I asked her birthday plenty of times.
The extroverted stuff. So the Myers-Briggs has what's called the functions. So you can go like really deep on this, but there's depending on what your type is, you can have an extroverted intuition or an introverted intuition. And so you may have extroverted intuition, which is like reading other people and be able to like know the interactions and etc. That's the one that you would use for that. But I'll complete my thought from like 2 thoughts ago, which was for the big five, the one that there's something called agreeableness. That's the one that makes you want to be fair to other people. I think you and I have a lot of that. If you're really disagreeable, you just want to compete and like have one over everybody else. If you're very agreeable, you want to be very fair. And so it's like win-win and, you want the other people to be happy. And so a lot of that is also avoiding conflict. And so if you have a lot of agreeableness, you're going to just want to avoid conflict at all costs. But if we link that back to, your direction of growth from the other thing, that's also if you, it's 2 different things, because assertiveness is more like an extrovert thing. And then being conflict avoidant is more like whatever I just said.
Yeah. So very, very more not wanting to stir the pot when you're being more agreeable.
Agreeableness, yeah.
I've more so been very agreeable and not wanting to stir the pot. But to be honest, that doesn't get me very much respect. And so the thing that I've really had to work on is being more assertive and more abrasive.
Yeah.
And so going back to horse, the way
it's also a masculine virtue.
Right.
Like being more competitive and aggressive versus being more agreeable is a feminine virtue, which is, it's also a virtue, but it's feminine virtue.
So in my birth chart, it's a very feminine chart. So I have, I believe, 8 placements that are in feminine signs.
Oh, wow.
And only 2 or Yeah, like 8 placements in feminine signs. And so like I'm very femininely dominated. I'm very emotional.
Mhm.
And so working on not being an agreeableness is just the thing that's been holding me back.
Have you ever taken a why him, why her test?
No, that's the
So
first
you
time.
should take the big five and you should take the why him, why her. Those two are very like scientifically validated.
Okay.
So Why Him, Why Her was invented by Helen Fisher, and she wrote a book on love. So she's like a real scientist, but she's a love researcher. I think her book is just called Love. But then they used that, she developed this theory, and it's based on which hormones and neurotransmitters are most determinant of your personality. And so
I've taken a test like that already, and it found that I was more dopamine dominant.
okay, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was going to ask. So the four that she identified that are the most predictive of relationship status. So this is specifically for dating, where testosterone, estrogen, and then dopamine and serotonin. And based on that, you can really well determine like what your perfect ideal partner is, and what her dominant what her dominant hormone is going to be. And what's interesting is that you have a primary and a secondary. And what's interesting about that is that you can actually have testosterone and estrogen as your primary and secondary highest. So what that means is that you can be, so masculine and feminine are not mutually opposing as most people believe. You can be very masculine and also very feminine at the same time.
Right. So another thing that I read into is that the way I'm supposed to master myself is to actually utilize my emotions, where I would rather not utilize my emotions. And so
Oh, that's your
I
dragon, dude.
I have to manifest my masculinity by expressing my emotions. And
Oh shit. So that's
I've
very Elliot Halls-ish, right?
I've had to be comfortable with expressing my emotions, and I'd rather not because
Mm.
yeah, yeah. So that's where like I'm even feeling like the resistance now. Like it's very tricky for me and very it's not something I'm comfortable with.
Dude, that's your dragon. That's your hero's journey right there. Beckoning.
Be more
Calling.
expressing more my feminine to be masculine
Yeah.
because okay, I walk around and I'll talk about the first impression that I gave all the ladies that I work with.
Okay.
Um, I'm 6 foot. I'm about 200. By the time I got there, I was 240 pounds. I'm maybe
Oh wow.
like I'm maybe like 2.5 feet wide, so I got like a big back, big chest. I walk in and everybody's just looking at me like this masculine, big dude motherfucker who's probably gonna eat us alive is coming to work with us.
Right.
Like partly they think I'm handsome, and another part is like this motherfucker is gonna be scary.
Right.
But I walk in there and I'm like the friendliest thing that can be. I'm very docile. I'm very shy. I'm very reserved and all this other shit. And so it's like I come off as being very masculine because of like my shape and form, but I'm not able to come off masculine because I'm not expressing myself
Right.
emotionally.
Now,
And that
what's your personality like when you're like out at a bar?
I'm super laid back.
Okay. So it's similar.
Yesterday, yeah. So maybe 2 days ago, I was out with a friend. We went to a bar, and I had a drink, and my two buddies were there. They were just quiet. Everybody was on their phone, right? And I was just looking around, very reserved. I'm like, I'm not going to engage with people who are not going to engage back with me. So I just rather stay quiet, conserve my energy, and not waste it on people that are not going to appreciate it and give it back. And so
Sounds like
it
an
was,
excuse.
I guess, but it's like I want something. I want someone to come at me, just like to meet me where I'm trying to meet them.
Okay,
And
that's fine. That's a boundary. That's cool.
so two guys that were already there, and I showed up with my buddy at the bar. All four of us sitting down. Two of them leave, and the other guy just like continues being on his phone. I'm just like, man, whatever. Like, I talked to a couple girls, but what I found is that I found one of those free throw basketball shooting things,
Mm.
and so I went to go play that thing. I swiped my card and I got 5 games, and I just started going at it for 5 games, and I got like the shittiest score on the first one. High
Oh, yeah.
score was 50, and then by the end of it, I got up to like 42, 46, and
Oh,
like that,
shit.
and that like interested me more, like mastering this fucking new skill, this new technique, and having fun and doing it. And I told my buddies like, hey man, just play a fucking game, have some fucking fun. It's a fucking game. Like it's not gonna hurt. Like loosen up, have some fun. And
I
I
like
just
that.
like all that machine, and I just got up and went. I was like, I'm gonna go do that thing right now because it's calling me.
I like that. That's so you just like peacocked using
Something in the environment.
yeah, like a demonstration of high skill. So
Uh,
did anybody come talk to you, or what was the outcome?
no, but like
Yeah, I feel like
I
I feel like
really enjoyed myself.
you're gonna so if you I feel like you did the first step if you inject a little bit of killer instinct or assertiveness on the back end of that, because you put yourself in a great mood just doing something that it's physical. There's like a lot of good aspects to it. But then it's like you're putting all your chips on the table, but then you gotta like harvest the yield of your investment once you've put in all the you invested. Now you gotta reap. You sowed, now you gotta reap. So at that point, I feel like you should have taken the next step, which I don't know what it is, but utilize
Yeah,
that momentum to transfer over to the next step.
right. So after that, I was just a little bit more free. I got one girl's attention, right? And did I tell you about that girl that I was emailing back and forth?
Yes.
And so it was off of that. I was just feeling very toxic and very like, I don't care what I say to another person. I'm just going to say how I feel. And so I got her attention, and I'd say, hey, I'd be really interested in ruining your life. And she's like, I'm sorry, what? Come again? She's like, I'd be very interested in ruining life. What do you think about that? And she's like, I don't know how to take that. I'm like, well, take my name. It's Victor. But she walked away.
She walked away.
She walked away.
Oh, that was a good one, man. I thought I was gonna hit. So I've been thinking about this girl you told me about, man. What's the story there? So you were okay. So what you told me, just to give people context, just to give the people's a little bit of context, is that you're messaging your ex over email, which
Yeah.
even just that is like very weird. So you have her blocked of everywhere else, or something like this?
I'm under the impression that, because this isn't the first time where we've like broken no contact,
Okay.
but each time it's like she stops responding to her phone, her
Right.
actual
Right.
phone.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And so there's been twice or three times where like I have to email her to get her attention.
So she has you blocked and everything. So you send her an email.
And so every time she's asked for my phone number, and every time she's had a different excuse. Is either I lost
Oh,
my
I got a new
phone,
phone. Yeah. Yeah.
no, if my boyfriend blocked my number, and there's probably another one there, but maybe it was only 2 times, but it was that for this last one.
Oh shit! I didn't complete the thought that I had last. So the last thing that I want to do on so we were talking about the energy scale. So in the energy scale, you have the limit of like negative to positive energy is the last rung is anger. So you're like down in like apathy or whatever, and then anger is like the last negative one before the first positive one, which is desire. So if you actually are able to like fully embody your anger and kind of enjoy it, live in it, that's like the doorway into like the positive energy scale, which the first one is desire. So one thing that you could try is like buying or looking at like nice shit that you may want to buy, that for you now, it probably feels like it would be a waste or superfluous, like a
Or
watch or.
maybe looking at some pictures of some girls I'd like to fuck, huh?
I don't know. Well, there's another like way lower one which is lost. That's probably.
All right, just so that I know I won't be on the right track if I go
Yeah,
that
I don't know if that's like true desire or if it's just lost, because if it's lost, it's not gonna work. But well, something
Are
that
you
I've been
sure,
trying to
man?
do, something
Are
that
you
I've been
sure,
trying to
man?
do,
I think it'd feel really good.
dude, if it's coming, if it depends where it's coming from, right? It's not the thing, it's where it's coming from. So if
Yeah,
you think that's actually true desire, then yeah, like that's what you're supposed to be doing.
yeah.
I've been trying to buy
I
nice shit for myself. So I bought a skateboard. I got a bike earlier in the year. I think I'm gonna get a watch on my this paycheck or the next, just like a cheap, Timex. But I'm like trying to play onto my desire, and I don't like really feel like I want those things. I'm kind of forcing it a little bit, and that's because I want to. Desire is like here and here, and then anger is in the middle. Like I said, it's like the doorway to the next level. So I want to like force myself to be more aggressive and.
work from that place because the one thing that's been catching my attention are like very nice rims on very sporty cars. So like shiny chrome fucking rims are really
Yeah,
doing it for me right now,
yeah,
and nothing else really. So like
yeah.
that,
Get the reams,
I
man.
think I gotta maybe fill my walls with some like pictures of some sports cars or some shit.
Yep,
Because like when I drive, my brother has a Volkswagen
yep.
GTI, and
Nice.
he's basically just like me, but he pisses me off. Probably just something I share from him. But like I tell him like you need to drive better. Like this is a really good car. You should be like angling the turns a little bit more. Like you could have like cut off some time on that turn and so on and so forth. And I just get it because I drove for so long doing those fucking
Yeah,
deliveries.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just like maximizing every little thing that I can whenever I'm in my driving mechanics. So
What kind of car you have?
I have a Nissan Sentra.
All right.
It's a sport engine. Front wheel drive. It's nothing great, man.
All right.
Yeah. Before I had that Nissan Rogue, whenever you came down that you drove, this very suburban mom type of car.
Yeah, that's fine.
See, I've never made any big purchases in my life. And so I think that I've like cut myself off from a lot of like desire and shit,
Yeah, that's
which
energy scale, man. It's that we are just not at that level. I'm the same way. Like I have the cheapest socks that you can get. I went to like Costco and I got 8 pairs of the exact same pair of pants, which is just like the cheapest one that I could find. And I've been exactly that way with everything. I think that even diet, is the thing that we were talking before, was one of the first things where I'm like, okay, I'm going to invest a little bit more money on something nicer, just because I was just so terrified of, the cheap kind of poisonous style of food that I started, spending a little bit more money on myself. But outside of that, I really feel like I haven't like ever bought myself anything nice. And it's just energy scales because we're not at that level anymore. We're just, doing the bottom of the, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is just like, okay, food, water, shelter. And you can't think of those higher levels of, achievement yet.
just I never thought of it that way because I thought that having less possessions is
Yeah,
just like where it's supposed to be.
it's true, but it's also a rationalization in a way of looking at it. Because,
Yeah.
if you think about, if you look out into society, look at, anybody, even people that you and I admire and feel like they're, enlightened or at least at a higher level, once you got everything that you need, you start buying weird shit. And there's no, part of that is status and part of that is just,
Staying at that higher level.
a lot of that is self-motivating because you gotta buy yourself something nice to motivate you to go get more money or to go get more success or whatever. And Tyler talks about it. I think Max used to talk about it a lot, also saying buy yourself a nice car, buy yourself a nice watch is useless. You're not going to get any real benefit out of it other than just being excited for life. And, that's going to motivate you to go get even more. And it even ties up with, the love that we were talking about before. It's like, you want that emotional leverage from wherever you can get it to, motivate you to keep going. But I think that's a good kind of measuring stick. If you don't have desire, and it's so funny that you brought up a shiny something, because that's really like the maximum example. A diamond or like a shiny jewel,
shiny barracuda type.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect example of like desire, an object of desire. And this is something that I came up with. I don't know if that's the right thing to do, but if you aim for the wrong above of where you want to be, maybe, that'll help you pull you in the right direction. And we know that anger and, that competitiveness and assertiveness is, like the next step in our journey. It's like the doorway. It's like the thing that's holding us back right now, because we are so, agreeable that,
we just rather stay complacent.
So let me ask you this: do you like negotiating? Do you like haggling and
what if we're talking about if we're not the arguing part?
Yeah,
I'm more so like if I'm shopping for something, I'm gonna get the best. I want to get the best deal. I don't want to waste too much money on something. I want to get the more bang for my buck.
But are you like actually negotiating on price and be like, hey man, I'm going to give you this amount, and
no.
You're getting in people's faces and so on. That is because I feel like what you're trying to say is that your way of handling conflict is by either avoiding conflict or trying to come up with a creative win-win deal where the other person is, getting kind of the better end of the deal and you just get what you want. Is that like your strategy for handling conflict?
Probably my default is I will do anything that you ask of me. I don't know if that makes anything. Like if you need something from me and I'm capable of offering it, even if I don't get anything in return, I'll do it. I'm very self-sacrificing.
That is agreeableness. So that is, if you take it the big five, it's going to be really high agreeableness, and like I said, that's a perfectly valid strategy. That's virtue, and I'm the same way, and so on. And it's been very useful in my life, but there is a limit to it. So what I've been trying to do, for the last, whatever is 5 years before this year, is that I said, you know what? I hate conflict. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to outsmart everybody. If I'm ever in a situation where I'm competing, I'm just not going to compete. I'm going to go do something else. I'll avoid conflict altogether, sidestep people, outsmart them, do, whatever I need to do, or just be, so creative that I can come up with a win-win deal where they're going to be getting, more than they expected to get, but I'm going to get what I want, and just, outmaneuver the situation where they're happy and I get what I want. And I've been, trying to use that as a hammer where, every nail is, every problem is a nail, and I'm just keep doing the same and the same strategy. But there's a limit to it. So it gets to a point where it's like, okay, like that's it, man. Like there's no more.
Because that reminds me of the section in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where it's like you can't take on lose-win situations all the time, because if you keep losing, it's just like, when is it going to be your turn? It's just like you got to stop taking like opportunities in relationships like that, where you got to actually find win-win situations.
Yeah, that's almost the.
I've even heard from Derek at some point where it's just like, If this isn't going to work for me and it's not going to work for you, then at least we found that out and we can move on and move forward and find someone else.
Yeah, that's something that I learned years ago from David D'Angelo. He said, win-win or no deal was like his big phrase, which I really took to heart. But that is, it goes into codependent, independent, interdependent. You gotta have boundaries for that to work. So you gotta have strong boundaries and the ability to defend those boundaries for those higher levels to be unlocked, and that is going to necessitate confrontation. So I don't think there's a way around it. You gotta, unless you're like in a couple and your partner is doing all the fighting and you're doing all of the nurturing, which I'm sure that is very common in a couple where the guy is the one that's doing all the negotiating and the girl is the one who's doing all of the nurturing and building bridges and building relationships and so on, which is great. I feel like that's like super highly effective strategy when you one of the notes in a couple like that. But I feel like to some degree you have to learn to have both those polarities within yourself, to some degree, and that's because you gotta use it in different situations.
You have to use it at different times. Mm-hmm. But what I've found has been a trend, and can probably point to why the whole emailing my ex thing, and why I've been more aggressive about it, is because I've had past relationships where I just didn't give a fuck. I didn't put any energy to it. A lot of the relationships that I used to be in before, I was very passive and I let my partner just like negotiate the whole deal and carry the weight. And so because of my passivity, I was very agreeable and I was all like, yeah, whatever you want, just so that a conflict didn't ensue.
Yes.
It was rolling over.
Yeah.
And so I don't regret and I don't feel bad about me actually pushing for this thing that I've been trying to go for after this girl. Because it actually feels invigorating to fight for something.
Yeah, there you go. Of course.
To go through the pain. And even when I'm going through it, like in the past I had a fear of feeling the pain. But now like I'm actually like going through it, feeling the pain, not giving a fuck about it, and just being like, no, I'm going to fight for this thing because I actually give a shit about it. And I fought, and for the past at least 36 hours, I haven't heard from her. So, but
dude, Peterson has.
I put up the good fight. I put up the good fight.
So I think we're gonna have to do a part 2 because I wanna hear all about the emailing situation. You told me that you were emailing her and then she sent you a picture of her ass over email.
No, so okay, things were very flowery, very beautiful. And I just knew the notes to play so that she would be smitten. And so I took her there. And so she got very smitten and it got very sexual and just got to a crescendo, which just happens naturally with us. And the thing that unsettles me is that I'm not sure if she's that way with every guy she's ever been with, or is that I'm
that's always the question, right?
Or if I'm the one that's actually able to facilitate that more for her than anybody else. And the guy always wants to think that way, is like, I'm the best he's ever fucking had.
Of course, yeah.
So, but I don't know that information, and I don't know if that information would change anything. And so it's like, because I know how to press that button, and I pressed it, she now felt used, felt objectified. But I just threw her for a ringer, and I gave her a great fucking time. Now I don't regret it for shit.
And then you told her to wash your car. I'm just overhyping the situation for the viewers. You're like, wash my car, you dumb bitch.
Just like, all right, like, it was a request that I knew that she couldn't accomplish and wasn't ever going to accomplish. And so I asked her the most ridiculous thing to have her hate and resent me even more than she already does. because I wanted to display how much I didn't give a fuck about what she was feeling
All
and
right,
going
so
through, feeling towards me.
I get it, I get it. So you had a strategy behind it. It was not just an outburst.
No, no, it's full on intention. If she's attracted to assholes, then I'm gonna play the asshole.
Okay, can I ask you something that's like along the lines of like vulnerability? Since we're on the topic.
I hate you, but yeah, go ahead and ask.
So you said in some of your past relationships, you've been very passive, meaning you are just like, whatever you want.
I'm gonna go
Um,
sideways. I have to charge my phone.
oh, dude, I was actually gonna go sideways, and I figured it would be too
Up to you.
too upsetting for the audience. Well, now I can't because I have to like flip it, and it may disconnect. No, we can keep
So,
going.
so to the passivity of my past relationships.
Yeah. So in those relationships in which you were being accommodating, did you ever feel like she was the one,
No.
like you were like in love with your like most ideal partner? That's why, that's one of the main reasons why going back to the beginning, why I think that love has to be the ultimate motivator because,
Yeah, you know what it was?
yeah,
You know what was my motivator? It was just like, oh, cool, I can have sex with this person because we're in a relationship together.
yep, yep,
And so
yep.
I would say anything just to have sex with her.
It's a partial motivator. That's
Yeah.
what's why love is like absolute. It's like,
But it's very superficial.
right.
Yeah, it's just not very stable. So
That's the same way that I felt when I've been in relationships, when I just, I'll say whatever, I'll give whatever. I just don't want any conflict.
just keep blowing
Because
me.
when you do that, you know that it's not sustainable long term. So when you give in to little tyrannical demands without when you decide not to fight, you are making a short-term decision,
Okay.
right? Doesn't
Right.
it feel that way?
Basically, it's very, very short term, not a long term decision.
You're basically just trying to keep the peace for now, but you know that it's going to
Right.
blow up in the future.
Right.
I I've had like glimpse of this, but I've never like felt it for a long time. Longer time horizon. But I feel like if you had that like next level of relationship, that you would just intuitively know that you have to fight when there's a disagreement like that. I feel like that's right.
Yeah, which is why I don't regret it for the most part. And you know what? Before this girl, okay, so backtrack to this girl back in 2020 when I met her, May 26th. It's very, very vivid for me. I met her, met up
Tell me the
about two,
story.
3 weeks. Yeah, met her about 2, 3 weeks later on a date because of quarantine. Things were just like iffy, just like we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we're infected, so on and so forth. And maybe about a month and a half living with her, or month and a half, she got kicked out of the place that she was staying in.
Oh shit.
So she moved in with me.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so we spent that time trying to make it work. Maybe a month passed, and I kicked her out. She started acting rebellious, started disrespecting me, and just wasn't able to be present enough to actually have these like fucking arguments with me. And so I almost felt like I was dealing with my past self
Wow,
whenever I was
dude.
whenever I was dealing with this girl because
Karma.
she had a cigarette addiction. She did drugs. and she loved to drink alcohol. These were her only fuels
Bro.
that were in her body. She didn't eat. And
Jesus.
so just her capacity to feel,
Mhm.
consider other people,
Mhm.
and actually give a shit about something was very minimal.
Mhm.
And so I kicked her out. She eventually came back. And up until this was maybe like around this same time 2 years ago, she said that she had to do community service for a cocaine charge. And so she did that, and I told her, "Don't work. You're not going to work. You're just going to focus on your cocaine, on your doing your time, so that you don't have to see this forever.
Mhm. Mhm.
Go away. It'll get taken care of." At the time, I was like, "So now that you're done with the time that you have to put in for your cocaine thing, like, what are you going to do after this? Are you going to better your life after this, or are you going to keep going down the same path that you've been going down up until this moment?"
Right.
Because she wasn't able to drink much, or she wasn't able to do drugs because she was on probation or whatever, but she was still drinking, smoking cigarettes every day. And so she chose the latter, where she's all like, "I'm fucking free now. I can do whatever the fuck I want, whatever fucking drug I want, hang out who the fuck I want."
Jesus.
And it ended at like at the beginning of November. So like October, which is her favorite holiday, is Halloween.
Mhm.
She was just like, "I just want to go all out and do all the things, everything." And so she started working this job. It's a burger place, right? But they're open till like 4 a.m.
Mm.
And if you've ever worked in a restaurant where
Yeah, it's bad.
they serve alcohol, everybody
Oh, Jesus.
fucks everybody, right?
Yep.
And so she found this lesbian chick to hang out with, and so they did shit while she was still living with me. And I'm just all like, what the fuck? Pain, dude. I'm talking about pain. You want to know some other painful thing?
Yeah.
This lesbian chick wasn't exactly a lesbian. She had a boyfriend, and she was a dominatrix. They got together one night. She fucked her boyfriend, the dominatrix's boyfriend, while drunk as shit,
Yeah.
on drugs, and got ran through by her boyfriend
Jesus.
while she was living with me. Head over heels, living with me. Damaged girl.
Yeah.
She left January, the end of December. Never heard from her. Well, I would hear from her, but it was all bad. She lived with a friend who repeatedly beat her. She moved to California, where she almost got killed.
Wow,
She ended
dude.
up moving to Colorado with her aunt and got diagnosed with at least 5 things, but the 3 that stand out for me is PTSD and bipolar disorder.
Mm.
And that about sums that up.
Yeah, think about it, man. I mean, imagine, imagine how bad it is for us to not eat healthy. And then imagine if you had like additionally like psychiatric problems, and then on top of that, you're like just drinking and smoking all day and not eating food. It's tough, dude.
It
I feel like
exacerbates everything.
listen, man, you gave her a home. You tried your best. You were guiding her.
The only words I have to say are "goddamn."
There's a point beyond which we're just doing the best we can. Like, we can save them all.
No.
It's really true that you can help someone who doesn't want to be helped. I was just talking to my other friend about giving random people diet advice.
Just so we close off the story with her.
Yeah.
She got back to Colorado with her aunt. I spoke to her a few times, but never went anywhere. Not like it did just recently.
Yeah.
And so she's actually living with a friend, and she actually has some effort going into eating healthily, going
Okay.
to the gym,
Okay.
avoiding alcohol, but still smoking cigarettes. So I'm
Okay.
like,
Okay.
okay. So I gave it a chance. That's why. But go on.
Okay. I see. I see. Well, I guess it's up to you to decide if you want to move on to bigger and better things, or if you, because one way you could look at it is, hey, you know what, I did my, we found each other in the in the adventure of life, and then we helped each other grow, and that was, it was meant to be. That was the thing that was going to happen. Another way of
Maybe.
looking at it is if you actually want to continue on the adventure together and be like, hey, we were at a lower level. You were at a lower level. I was at a lower level. We helped each other grow, and now we're gonna help each other take the next step. I don't know if that's gonna be the because you can't waste time, right? There's only like so many decades that you are gonna have, and any like big project is gonna take you, one or two of those. If you wanna, start a family, if you wanna start a relationship with someone that you're gonna spend, the rest of your life with, it's gonna take you, a couple of those decades. So
I always
gotta think about it.
since this has been going on, I just been realizing that I have very little time. Like 10 years from now, I'm going to be 45.
Yeah.
10 years have almost already passed since I found RSD. So it's
Yep. Bro, I've been on it for 14, I think. 12, 14, something like that.
Yeah. But because of that, I don't know, I was going to say something, but you interrupted. But I'm saying, but because I found RSD, I'm in a completely different path that I might have been if I didn't start going to the gym with a friend of mine that I used to work with.
Nice.
And he's not working out right now. So I'm still fucking going to the gym. But you know what? He had a family. What he wanted most is what I want now, is to have a home, have a family, have a wife, have kids. And that's going to take 10, maybe 15 years.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
All right. Let's continue on part 2 later. You want to do it every week or something like this?
I feel like one super big rant a week would be very enjoyable.
Bruh, let's do it.
Yeah, man.
All right.
It was a lot of fun, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Good shit. Yeah, I want to start doing more podcasts, interviews, videos. Any type of content. It was great, dude. Thank you for doing it with me. I feel like we had fun and it wasn't like terrible. So
yeah, dude. Super engaging, man. Super engaging.
Good shit. Let's do it again.
Yeah. So the takeaway, for me is to do my Enneagram, but maybe I already know what I kind of have to do already.
You gotta do the why him, why her, and you gotta do the big 5. So you get do Jordan Peterson's big 5. They're gonna charge you like $8 or something like this, but it's worth it because he has it measures you against everybody else who's taken it. So you'll get like an average of like where you stand compared to other people, and it's useful.
Okay, and then I'm probably more interested in the why him, why her. So
yeah, that one's free. If you take it on, I think it's chemistry.com. There's actually a dating site that adopted it. If you just search for why him, why her test, I think there's 2 results, and one is like a short one, and there's other one that's a longer one. So see if you can find the longer one, and they're gonna make you sign up for chemistry.com, but just give them a fake email and you'll be fine.
Cool. Sounds good, man.
All right. So what is gonna be an action step for the listeners?
Find something that makes you angry. It means you give a shit about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's been the show for today. Click in the bio, buy my shit. See you next time. Peace.
Take it easy, Keymaker.
Bye-bye.
How do I stop this shit?